7 hours and his blood is still alive.
Cultists, Carter here with Season 1, Episode 2 recap of House of the Dragon, titled The Rogue Prince. This was the setup episode, basically. Not a lot of action going on, but still a really good episode. And this episode is going to be very important for everything that's going to happen later on in the series. So first, we open up with the intro. They kept the same Game of Thrones theme. Wonderful. Chef's kiss to it. I'm glad they did it. It's an incredibly important tune. We all associate that music in our heads with Game of Thrones. I've got some notes here. You see me looking down. But we open up with seeing some of the crab feeders that was previously alluded to in the first episode, where ships are getting sacked and the men are getting fed to something called the crab feeder, which they're basically crucifying people on the beach, letting crabs tear away at their body. It's really gruesome stuff and very beautiful. Then we go to the Red Keep. We're caught up in the small council. It is now 6 months past the first episode. Daemon, who was supposed to fly back to the Eyrie to be with his wife, is held up in Dragonstone and taking his gold cloaks with him. So he's taking the majority of the city watch with him as his own private army. Is hiding out in Dragon's Keep, ancestral heir. It's the ancestral home to the Targaryens when they first landed on Westeros. So it made perfect sense that he's held up there. Princess Rhaenyra is caught up, still as the cupbearer. She's been named heir to the throne, but she's still kept as a cupbearer, serving everyone their drinks out. Her life really hasn't changed. She's still mourning the loss of her mother. Her father, King Viserys, is still mourning the loss of his wife, and they've kind of had this big disconnect between the two of them, not really sharing anything too personal. So Lord Corlys busts open. He's ticked off that, hey, my ships are getting sacked. You're not doing anything about it. Well, the king doesn't want to go to war. He makes a plea, listen, we'll go to war when we have to go to war. My job is to prevent us from going to war at all costs. Can't help that. So Lord Corlys is incredibly upset by this, of course, because one of his ships, his men, were attacked. Nothing's been done in his eyes. The princess offers, hey, we got dragon riders. Just let us go there, flee to dragons, we'll take them out easy peasy, no problem. Nope. King says no. The king says, maybe you should go pick out our new Kingsguard, the White Cloaks. It's mentioned that when the White Cloaks died, we need a replacement. Princess, he'll be guarding you, so why don't you go pick him out? So she kind of snorts and walks off. She's still a teenager, so that was going to happen. She feels like she's being very unheard in her wants and her needs and her advice, and she's trying to live up to her potential. The king isn't having it. Meanwhile, we see the king in his off time with the princess's best friend, Lady Hightower, who's been spending an awfully long time with him, and just talking to him, being his friend, his confidant, someone the king really needs right now. The king has to choose a wife soon. He can't go without a wife. But he's trying to put this off. His wife's been gone for 6 months, as he mentions. He's not ready for any of this. So we go through a lot of this. And Allison Hightower can't be more than 15, 16 years old. So she's just trying to feel him out. She doesn't know what to do. But, there's definite... Between her father, who's the hand of the king, and her, there's definite plotting going around. So then we go to when the big Game of Thrones series tropes, the secret meeting in the garden. This happens so many times in Game of Thrones. As soon as it was starting to happen, I just kind of smirked to myself. I'm like, there we go, garden meetings. Bravo! But the king is meeting with Corlys, his wife, the princess who was never queen in her instance, and they said, hey, why don't you marry our daughter? I'm like, it would unite both of our houses, both of Valyrian blood, unite the Targaryens, show strength of force. Great theory. Their daughter's 12, and the king knows this, and he's like, man, it's a good idea to marry your daughter. Not a great idea to marry a 12-year-old. So it was a little creepy. And we get a scene farther down where he's taking a stroll with her in one of the gardens and realizing this girl's 12. Like, she's really 12. Ugh. Meanwhile, we see the princess is watching all this unfold, and her aunt, the princess who was never queen, sitting there watching it as well, and confides to her, listen, you're not going to be queen. The princess is like, I'll just break the rules. I'll be the first queen, princess. It's like, listen, child, men of this world would rather burn down Westeros than have this queen on the throne. And that's, very true. There was a lot of misogyny in all of this. It's a still true statement. And the lords of Westeros would rather burn the kingdom down and take orders from a woman. And, it kind of clicks in the, young princess's head. Oh, yeah, she's got a point. And if he's going to remarry, there's a very good chance he'll have another heir, a son. So, we get through that, and the king has some other meetings. We notice that there's one scene where he has to sting his pinky, bowl of maggots. There's something going on with him. He's definitely sick. He's not telling it on, anybody except the maesters know what's going on. It almost looks like flesh-eating bacteria, but much slower. Maybe it's some sort of cancer. They're trying to, like some sort of skin cancer that they're trying to get rid of. It's very disturbing. You can see his hand, he's keeping it bandaged in a way. And the hand of the king, Lord Hightower, walks in like, sir, we've got a problem. He did this while I was meeting with the young, keeping the name straight here, Allison Hightower. He says, we got a problem. I've called the small council. It's like, what is it? And he's like, I'm going to tell you this in person, which is kind of weird because they were in person. He could have just told him right there, but whatever. So they go to the small council. He's like, someone has stolen a dragon egg. I'm like, what do you mean someone stole a dragon egg? How does somebody get past 50 guards and steal a dragon egg? There was a note. It's your brother. It's Daemon. King's about to lose his shit. He's pissed. Because then the princess pipes up, whose dragon egg? And it was Dreamfire. Her dragon, saying the egg that they were going to put in her dead brother's basket. So the king's about to lose his shit. He's like, I'm going to storm that castle. I'm going to kill my own brother. The hand says, no. Sorry, listen. That's way too dangerous. Can't risk it. I'll go. Cool. All right. So then we have the, hand, his men land at Dragonstone. And it's foggy. And we've seen Dragonstone in the previous series before. So we go there. There's a meeting on a bridge between Daemon, his men, his soon-to-be wife, because he said, I'm taking a second wife in our tradition. and second wife was his personal concubine, because his first wife he married out of responsibility. He didn't love her, and he actually cares for this woman, so he's going to marry her too. And he says within his right. But he's stolen a dragon egg, and he said, well, when I have a child, he deserves to have a dragon in his bassinet. That's how tradition is. And he just did it. It was maybe tradition, but it was also a poke at his brother, trying to get him to react. Didn't happen, and suddenly Damon's dragon appears on a ridge overhead going, hey, I'm here too. You screw with him, you're screwing with me, and I'll burn you all down. Almost a psychic connection with the Targaryens. So the dragon's like, oh, okay, well, everybody's putting their swords down. They don't want to end in bloodshed, but then out of the clouds rips the princess on the back of her dragon, flying over. She lands, and she confronts her uncle, saying, you want to kill me? You want to kill me to take the throne? Because that's what you'll have to do. After a brief confrontation, Damon backs down, tosses the egg to her. And, it's not worth it, blah, blah, blah. They walk off, and she gets back, and she's in trouble with her dad. She didn't tell her dad, hey, I'm taking off, I'm running to Dragonstone to go confront Damon. No, I didn't tell you that, sorry. So we get back, and the king tells her, you can't be doing that. You're the only heir. I trust you. I need you. This is yours. So, they have a brief more talk, and, he assures her, hey, I'm going to have to remarry. And she's like, yeah, I know. And he tells her, what the initial plan is. She's like, okay with it. Go ahead and do whatever. So, he announces, they bring a small council meeting. He announces, hey, I'm going to remarry, and I've chosen Alicent Hightower instead of Lord Corlys's daughter, who's 12. He's pissed. He gets up. He feels insulted. He leaves. Meanwhile, the princess takes a look at Alicent Hightower, and her eyes start to well. Like, that's my best friend. You're marrying my best friend. What are you doing, Dad? And she storms out. So then we go flash forward, and we see the old sea snake, Lord Corlys, meeting, off camera, talking to somebody about how he was always passed over, blah, blah, blah. He's talking to Daemon. So obviously it's been like a month or two, or however long. He's gone and met with Daemon, saying, listen, you and I should join forces. And this is classic Game of Thrones type intrigue, where you're having people meeting with other houses, forming alliances, seeing what's going on. And Daemon's like, listen, you don't talk shit about my brother. Only I talk shit about my brother. But you have a point. And they kind of leave it off there. And we're left for next week. Now, they did show a preview for next week. I'm not going to go into that yet, but it looked mighty good. Overall, I'm going to give this episode 3 out of 5 dragons. It was useful. It was intriguing. Normally we do pentagrams, but this is Game of Thrones. I'm throwing up dragons. So, until next week, cultists, stay safe. Hope you have a pleasant week. I'll see you next week for episode 3.